My current work uses the within Judaism paradigm to reconsider the Gospel of Mark's social location and purpose. I've also spent considerable time trying to understand what it would mean for a text to be within Judaism and how we might know. And my conclusions about the meanings and methods of within Judaism are forthcoming in ZNV. Here I would like to focus on the meaning of within Judaism and related phrases. First, within Judaism currently functions mostly as an umbrella category for readings that seek to move away from the idea that Christ followers replace Jews as a basic feature of many New Testament texts. I have had a hard time trying to pin down more precisely what within Judaism might mean, mostly because it combines boundary language, within, with an ism that designates a system of practice, in this case Judaism, that does not really have the characteristics of boundaries. I find it easier to talk about the boundaries in the case of the Jewish ethnic group, as sociologists have long done. The problem with working with ethnic group boundaries is that, according to sociologists, for an ethnicity to also be an ethnic group, it needs to be recognized and mostly agreed upon in a given locale. This means that both insiders and outsiders basically agree on who is inside and who is outside. However, we have no evidence for whether non-Christ following Jews considered any of the writers or the intended audience of the New Testament texts to be Jewish or not. Accordingly, we cannot really answer whether other Jews considered even ex-Gentile Christ followers who may have been expected to convert to Judaism to be within the Jewish ethnic group, because we have no data on what they thought. We are in a better position to evaluate what a writer and or their intended audience thought about themselves. For this, the language of, for example, Paul's Judaism or Mark's Judaism is useful. I suggest that we can speak of Paul's Judaism if we understand Paul to both conceive of his preferred system of practice and belief to be in continuity with Judaism, and also to consider the Jews, or perhaps Israel, to be in some advantageous position among Christ followers, especially in relationship to non-Jewish Christ followers. In this sense, even if the writer of Matthew is Jewish and writes for a mostly Jewish audience, but does so to convince them to convert from Judaism to Christianity, we should not talk about Matthew's Judaism because the writer advocates Christianity and not Judaism. On the other end of the spectrum of the interpretation of Matthew, if Matthew expects Gentile Christ followers to be circumcised and convert to Judaism, this could be described as Matthew's preferred version of Judaism, because the most privileged in-group are Jewish Christ followers, since Gentiles must become Jewish in order to follow Christ.